This is the scene after the flood. Everyone can see the current situation through the camera lens. I'm now at the flood site in Rongjiang County, Guizhou Province. Seeing this devastation, I truly don't know what to say, especially those wooden houses over there. When I was a child, I used to live in a house just like that. This flood was utterly ruthless. It completely destroyed those homes. The piles of debris in front of us were once the hard-earned belongings and lifelong savings of the local villagers. I don't know what to say. It's truly heartbreaking. This was the life's work of the elderly, and yet it was all washed away just like that. I was so frightened I cried through the entire night. There were families where both father and son were swept away. When the flood hit, we were still working. By the time we rushed over here, it was too late to save anything. In the end, everything was submerged. The water came too fast. Within just a few minutes, it had surged in. At first, it flooded the first floor, then quickly rose to the second, then the third. It was absolutely terrifying. We had no time to retreat, and the children were crying in fear. The water rose at an astonishing speed. In just about 10 minutes, the entire street was submerged. When we arrived, everyone was panicking. Power and water were cut off immediately, and communication systems failed. We couldn't get in touch with our families. The water level rose to 7 meters. The entire first floor was submerged, and water reached the second floor. It may have reached up to 9 meters. Some netizens recorded the second wave of flooding in Rongjiang, showing just how fast the water surged. In only 7 minutes, the main street of the town was completely underwater. On the afternoon of June 28, 2025, security camera footage showed that at 4:30 p.m., the town was still peaceful. But by 4:37 p.m., it had been completely swallowed by the floodwaters. Cars were swept away like toys, and shops were flooded in an instant. Many witnessed the floodwaters rushing into the town center. By around 7 p.m., the water had already reached the first floor. A resident living in a high-rise building in Rongjiang, Guizhou, recorded a video capturing the rapid rise of floodwaters after a dam breach. The flood began rising near bridge number 2, then swept toward the intersection. It was 3:39 p.m. at that time. The water came extremely fast, and everyone could only remind each other to stay safe. This water level was similar to the previous wave, quickly flooding the parking lot. Some netizens reported that it took only 7 minutes for the streets of Rongjiang to be completely submerged by the floodwaters. Where did so much water come from? This flood was truly ferocious. Many areas were entirely swept away. Others said that the second wave of flooding in Rongjiang submerged an entire village in just 10 minutes. On June 29, 2025, we arrived in Rongjiang County, Guizhou. The flood has now receded, and the watermarks left along the banks are clearly visible. People are still working hard to clean up. Total damages are estimated at around 400,000 to 500,000 yuan. We are all low-income families, and everything that was washed away represented our livelihoods. To fully recover to what we had before will take more than 10 years. These were the life savings of the elderly, now all gone. Initial estimates put the loss at about 1.2 million yuan, including 8 damaged vehicles. It will take 10 years to rebuild. For some, damages amounted to 400,000 to 500,000 yuan. Given the current business climate, even 3 years won't be enough to recover. At least 5 years will be needed. All electronic appliances, such as air conditioners and piping, were soaked and now require repairs. Personally, I suffered losses of around 200,000 yuan, and it will take me at least 2 years to rebuild everything. In Rongjiang, 1 in every 3 people was surrounded by floodwaters. Over 100,000 people have been affected. I asked around, is everyone's home still intact? It's now past 10 a.m. Let me show you outside. The scene is utterly devastated. Everyone is clearing mud from the streets. The shops that had just been cleaned a few days ago are now flooded again and must be cleaned from scratch. Cars that were submerged are still scattered everywhere. Today, I'm showing you the aftermath of the flood in Rongjiang County. The flood came too suddenly this time. Many vehicles didn't have time to be moved. The streets are covered in thick mud and water-damaged items. The destruction is beyond words. In some places, the layer of mud is over 1 meter thick. Even fuel tankers were overturned. You can imagine how terrifying this flood wave was. The people of Rongjiang are suffering deeply. In just a few days, they've endured 2 catastrophic floods. This is not a refugee camp in Syria. This is Rongjiang, Guizhou. After the disaster, this is what we're left facing. I'm now standing on a street in Rongjiang. This is the aftermath of the second flood. You can see that every shop along the road is cleaning up on their own because all of them were flooded. Every single business on this street suffered severe damage. Now the water has receded, but what's left is a chaotic battlefield. It's truly heartbreaking. I couldn't hold back my tears. Many people asked why we didn't leave. But this is our home. Where else can we go? In the previous video, many viewers asked, I live safely on the 31st floor. Why should I come down? The water can't reach that high. All I can say is, with no water, no electricity, no food or drinks, even going to the bathroom becomes a problem. The basement was completely flooded. It was impossible to survive up there. This street is where food is usually sold, and it's also the area hit the hardest. The scene on the ground is truly tragic. On June 24th, the flood struck, and when it receded, it left behind a scene too heartbreaking to bear. On June 28th, this street was once again submerged in floodwater. After the water receded, all that remained was thick, sticky mud. We are deeply grateful to the volunteers from all over who came to help. On June 28th, Rongjiang County in Guizhou Province was hit by a second round of flooding, forcing the entire town to evacuate. On the morning of the 29th, after the floodwaters receded, the streets were littered with trash and debris, resembling a massive dump site. Household appliances, toys, and cars swept away by the water were piled on top of each other, some buried under thick layers of mud. On certain streets, residents could only carry buckets and scrape mud with shovels, using the most primitive methods to clean up. Not only Rongjiang town, but also nearby towns experienced unprecedented flooding. In Leishan town, within just 2 hours, the ground floor was completely submerged. It was truly terrifying. Our entire shop was flooded. Everything was swept away. Both of our milk tea shops turned into trash in just 1 day. I'm on the 2nd floor now, and even here the water is nearly up to the top. I live here, and now the water has reached the toilet. Today is the 29th, and just yesterday, the 28th, the floodwaters returned. Inside the house, it's all mud. The previous flood had already submerged the entire home. While everyone was focused on Rongjiang, upstream in Sandu County, many households were also swept away by the floods. Rice, salt, cooking oil, blankets, basic necessities are in extremely short supply. They've lost internet, electricity, and water, making it impossible to contact the outside world. A netizen posted a video saying Rongjiang County was flooded again. It's heartbreaking. An elderly couple had their entire home washed away by the flood, and their children weren't there. In the video, the elderly woman stood crying in the mud, while the man leaned on a cane in the courtyard, mud reaching up to his knees. Their faces were etched with sorrow and hardship. The video poster said the couple's children were all far away, deeply worried about their parents but unable to return home. The roads are blocked. Some netizens express that the flooding in Rongjiang has touched the hearts of people across the country. The Rongjiang authorities publicly announced donation channels, but netizens seemed distrustful. Screenshots of 0.01 yuan donations flooded social media, with some sarcastically saying, "Donating 1 cent is like giving a score for trustworthiness." Others bluntly stated, "I'd rather save the money for vegetables than donate to some rich people."